What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay guys, so we are going to continue our coverage over X-Men Red, where we actually do pick up with X-Men Red number 2. Now with that being said, this is the book that's technically talking about the idea of an X-Men team being on Mars. And the reason why, because we have to remember, at this point in Marvel Comics, the mutant race was technically able to turn Mars into a planet that is actually livable. Now with that being said, right now you do have the second mutant nation, better known as Arakko, that is technically on Mars. Now here's the thing though, because when it comes to X-Men Red, you're technically talking about the idea of putting an X-Men team on Mars to actually lead the mutants of Arakko in a better direction. Because right now, technically, the mutants of Arakko are very, very violent. And so with that, you have Storm and other characters believe that they have the ability to actually change the way the people of Arakko truly are, to make them more civilized, more friendly. And so technically that is what X-Men Red is mostly about. Now, when it comes to X-Men Red number 2, this is the book where you technically have Storm defeat Vulcan. And that right there is actually very, very interesting and having wondering a lot more things to come down the road. But the opening pages of this book is actually very important. And the reason why I'm saying that, because we actually pick up with Vulcan, Gabriel Summers, the youngest of the 3 Summer brothers. Now here's the thing about Gabriel, because this section right here is actually doing a callback to Jonathan Hickman's run on the X-Men. And what I mean by that is, back in Jonathan Hickman's run on the X-Men, Gabriel Summers was a character, it seemed like, that was going to be very important for some kind of reason down the road. But unfortunately though, when it came to Jonathan Hickman, he never did really anything big with Gabriel. And so right now, when it comes to X-Men Red, it seems like right now they're trying to do what Hickman could not do. Because right now, technically, we do pick up in the past where you actually have Gabriel right now in the Summers house. Now remember, the Summers house is technically the home of different characters who are related to Cyclops, and their home technically right now is on the moon. Now here's the thing though, because in the past we saw some aliens apparently in the background talking about Gabriel. But the thing is though, we had no idea who these aliens were and what they were trying to do with Gabriel. But the opening pages of this section does give us a little bit more detail, because we kind of find out that apparently Gabriel was in some other universe, and apparently these aliens had put him back in the main Marvel universe, but at a weaker state, meaning that sooner or later he'll be back at full power. And once he's back at full power, it could technically be a bad thing for the entire Marvel universe. Now, of course, when he does wake up, he is confronted by Charles Xavier, also Cyclops, Sway, and Petra. And this is why I say, when it comes to X-Men Red, they are trying to do what Hickman could not do. Because right now you have Gabriel talking to Cyclops, Charles, also Sway, and Petra. Now the last 2 characters are actually very important, and I'm going to explain why here in a brief moment. But right now you have Charles saying, listen Gabriel, it's time for us to have a little conversation, because thanks to the Scarlet Witch, we are technically able to bring back more mutants that we could not bring back before, including Sway and Petra. And that right there is very huge, because the last time we saw Gabriel, he was constantly talking to Sway and Petra. But the thing is, they were never there. It's all in his head. And so currently right now, when he sees Cyclops, of course, Charles and Sway and Petra, technically right now, only Cyclops and Charles are there. But for Sway, he's kind of like, no, not Sway, sorry. For Gabriel, he's kind of like, no, Charles, you're lying to me. And the reason why this is so important, because it's another callback to X-Men Deadly Genesis. Remember, that was a retcon story to say that Charles Xavier had a secret X-Men team to go save Cyclops and his first class X-Men team from Krakoa in the past, but unfortunately, most of the team died. And that was Sway and Petra. And so right now, this is Gabriel saying, no, they're here right now. But in reality, they're not here right now. And this shows that right now, Gabriel is not in the right mental state. And this is going to be very huge. But then he does blow up the Summers house. So then we jump back into the present day. And when we do, that explains why Gabriel is no longer welcome in the Summers house. Because after that moment where he went crazy finding out that technically Sway and Petra were never alive this entire time, that he was believing that he was actually talking to them, he blew up the house and he's no longer welcome there. Now, in the present day, it's him right now with Abigail Brand. And of course, this picks up after X-Men Red #1, where of course he did cause some issues on Arakko, but you had Abigail come in, grab him and say, listen, I need you right now to come with me because I'm building an X-Men team. Now, this is actually very huge because at the end of X-Men Red #1, we were left to believe that Storm was going to make her own X-Men Red team to lead the mutant Arakko in the right direction. But right now it seems like Abigail Brand is also making her own X-Men team to lead the mutants of Arakko in the right direction, or technically control the mutants of Arakko. And so this is her right now saying, I want to welcome you to your own X-Men team. This is going to be the X-Men team of Mars, her team. Now, of course, this team right here is not going to last very long, but we're left to believe that they technically are going to last for a good period of time. And so you do have Frenzy, Manifold, Random, Metallo, and you also have Cable. Now, while you have Abigail Brand right now showing off the different members of the team, you actually have Manifold dip out. And the reason why, because technically he cannot trust Abigail Brand at all. And because of that is him saying, I am no longer going to be involved in any kind of mutant stuff at all. I am going to go back to be an Avenger. Goodbye, I am out. Because back in the mini-series, not really a mini-series, but it was a short-lived series called Sword, where you had Abigail Brand doing a lot of different things behind the scenes when it came to Krakoa and also Arakko. But with that being said, she had basically broke a lot of different trusts between different members, including Manifold. And so right off the bat, he sees how bad his team gonna be, but also that he can no longer trust Abigail Brand. He dips out, and that technically leaves now Cable in charge of this team. Either way right now, they're quickly called to Arakko because something is happening right now on Arakko. And we come to find out that right now on Arakko, you do have some random alien race right now attacking Arakko. Now, I could sit down here and basically talk about this alien race, but for right now, they're technically just a plot device for this storyline. Either way right now, when it comes to this alien race, they are technically right now attacking a village in Arakko on Mars. And so, of course, you do have Abigail Brand X-Men team step in to kind of handle this situation. Now, here is the big thing though, because even though she does that, this team is technically not loved right off the bat by the people of Arakko. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to the people of Arakko, they hate the idea of having Krakoans, of course, the first mutant nation, coming to them and trying to help them out with any kind of situation. That technically, if you're going to be an outsider helping us out, you better have a good rep in our streets. If you don't, we don't want you. And on top of that, when it comes to mutants of Arakko, no matter what power you have to stand up for yourself. And so even though these aliens are technically really powerful and can wipe out this entire village, you have every single member of this village right now saying, no, we are going to protect our land. Now, of course, some of them do get wiped out, including Cable. Now, luckily, at this point in Marvel Comics, they still have a way to bring mutants back to life by making them a new clone body and then download their memories into that new clone body. Either way, right now you have the new X-Men team, X-Men Red team, from Abigail Brand just failing, and the people of this village also failing as well, stopping these alien creatures. Now, of course, you didn't have Gabriel step in. Now, this is Gabriel right now giving us another hint that technically he is not okay in the head. And what I mean by basically being another example that something is wrong with Vulcan, we kind of find out that there is a huge time gap in his memory. And what I mean by that is the last thing he technically remembers was when he was an emperor of the Shi'ar Empire, when he technically took over the Shi'ar Empire. Now that right there is actually very important because that took place a long time ago. And so that shows us right now there is a huge time gap in his memory where he still feels like that he is technically the emperor of the Shi'ar Empire. But you do have Vulcan right now believing that he'll be the one to actually deal with these aliens that are right now attacking this Arakko village. And that is the moment where you actually have Storm's team step in. And remember, Storm's team is right now Storm, Magneto, Sunspot, and the Fisherman. Now, here's the thing right now. They're not calling themselves the X-Men. They're actually calling themselves the Brotherhood of Arakko. And so technically, they're taking the old name, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and changing it into a more positive way. And right now you have Storm and Magneto stepping in to actually protect this village, to show that they are actually capable of protecting Arakko, but at the same time leading Arakko in a better direction by showing that they truly understand the people of Arakko better than Abigail Brand and her X-Men team. Either way, once you do have Storm actually step in, you have Storm being able to kind of work with Magneto and Sunspot to deal with these aliens. But then this leads us into the big moment, because right after you have Storm and her team being able to deal with those aliens, you have Vulcan get very upset with the idea that basically his time to shine was technically taken away from him by Storm. And this is Vulcan right now showing a lot of rage, but still believing that one, he is an emperor, but two, he is a summer brother, that he's powerful, he's cocky, he's the best thing right now in the area. And so he's kind of like, who challenged me? Who believes they can stop me so easily? And of course, it's Storm. Storm does it in one single page. Now, here's the thing though, because Storm does mention that she knows Vulcan very well. She knows that technically both him and her are actually both Omega level mutants. But here is the big thing though, because technically she says our powers are very similar in a way where we technically are able to manipulate energies around us. But here is the big moment, because you have Storm being able to take down Vulcan just like that. And we're left to believe the reason why she was able to do that because she has been doing this a whole lot longer than he had. And so with that, of course, Vulcan right now is technically not capable of beating Storm because she is a more veteran warrior, a veteran mutant. She knows how to fight and she knows how to use her powers better than he does currently at the moment. And so after the big battle with Storm, you do have Gabriel right now be confronted by Abigail Brand. Now, Abigail Brand tells us right off the bat that when it comes to Gabriel Summers, technically right now, the reason why he lost that battle with Storm is because he is not at full power. He's basically at a lower level than he should be. And the reason why, because what happened to him with those aliens that had taken him out of this universe, the main Marvel universe, had brought him over to a different universe, did their thing, and then put him back into the main Marvel universe. And so we're left to believe that the reason why he's depowered because what happened to him over there in that other universe. Now here's the thing though, because right now you have Abigail Brand saying, listen, I want you to be part of the Great Ring, the government body of Arakko. But here's the thing though, because to be able to actually be accepted into the Great Ring, you have to be well known across Araco, that random locals speak your name just freely because they fear you or they have a lot of respect for you. But the only way to actually gain that respect, to have all the locals love you or be scared of you, you have to kill someone off who's really powerful on Araco. And once you're able to actually do that, then maybe you'll be accepted into the Great Ring, the government body of Araco. And with you being there, I will be able to get a ton of information about what Araco and the Great Ring are trying to do. And so she tells Gabriel, if you want inside the Great Ring, you have to kill off Tarn the Uncaring. Now, Tarn the Uncaring is a big time bad guy in X-Men comics right now. And so, of course, if Gabriel is able to kill off Tarn the Uncaring, then definitely Araco people will have so much respect for Gabriel, and he will for sure be accepted into the Great Ring. And so the next issue or two could be Gabriel fighting against, of course, Tarn the Uncaring to get into the Great Ring. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.